Good morning, everybody. I hope you all had a good weekend and looking forward to the working week ahead. Apologies, I wasn't able to do a briefing last week. I had family over and holidays and a few other things going on, so I just never got around to it. Anyhow, let's have a look at what happened over the last week in the markets. Despite seeing a typical V where we saw the markets down midweek, the majority of the markets did end up. We had the Dow up 1.5%, the Nasdaq up 1.9%, the DAX was up 1.3%, the FTSE was up 2.5%, and the Nikkei was up 1.8%. The only market to buck the trend, so to speak, was China, which was down 3.2%. Now, those of you that listen regularly know that although I'm not disregarding China, and I understand its impact on the world as a whole, I still think that market is a manipulated one. And therefore, what was happening at the beginning of the year, when the rest of the markets were like a domino effect because of the situation in China, and we saw panic selling going on there, it seems now that things have stabilized and people realize that in the more established markets, the Japanese, the American, the British, the German, etc., there are still good buys out there. And this has been proved, I think, by the fact now, despite the Chinese market falling, we're seeing some stability in the more established markets, and we're starting to see a general push upwards from what happened at the beginning of the year. My bundle of four this time actually didn't do as well as the Nasdaq, so you would have only made you 1% on that, opposed to the 1.9 which the Nasdaq gave you. On the currency side, we're seeing a strengthening US dollar. I mean, against the euro and against the British pound especially, because of the whole political situation with the Brexit and the talk of the British leaving the European Union and the infighting that's going on within the Conservative Party in respect of that, we saw the US dollar gain 4.1% against sterling, at one point getting down to 1.38, which is the lowest that I can remember it for a long time. I think, longer term, you're buying up sterling at them sort of prices, you've got to be getting value for money. Again, the euro has been affected by this, and so we saw 1.8% strengthening US dollar against the euro, and we now have the euro at 1.09. Japanese yen, less of a movement, albeit slightly strengthening dollar, less than 1%. So all in all, we're starting to see a little bit of steadiness now. We're starting to stop and seeing the panic that was happening in the beginning of the year. People are coming to their senses, realizing that the world's not going to end, realizing we're not having another 2008, realizing that there are some decent economic data out there, and we should be embracing it and taking advantage of it. So on the sporting front this weekend, we had a pretty busy sporting weekend in some of my favourite sports. In the football, we had Manchester City winning the Capital One Cup on penalties. So Pellegrini's won three major competitions in his 3 years there, but of course that still wasn't enough to stop him getting the chop at the end of the season. We also saw Manchester United with this new superstar kid, Marcus Rashford, scoring twice against Arsenal and looking like a kid who just enjoys playing football. Let's hope that the press don't get hold of him and crucify him too much, so as that we see what happens with many other young players. England continue to do well in the rugby. We saw talk of a Grand Slam now after England beating Ireland and winning their first three games of the Six Nations this year. And talking about England against Ireland, we had the Frampton Quigg fight this weekend, which I was massively looked forward to. And if I'm honest, was a little bit of a letdown. I think, although I think Frampton deserved to win, I think both guys are tremendous role models and very, very good boxers. I think the occasion got the better of them, and perhaps the whole scenario with some of the trainers and the managers getting involved certainly didn't help the matter. So to finish, I've got a quote, and my quote today is, "A goal without a plan is just a wish," and that was by a guy called Antoine de Saint. So bear in mind you need to be planning for the future. Again, to give you a case in point about the difference between the people that are wealthy and the people that are not so wealthy, the top 25% of wealthy people in the world save an average of 15% of their salaries towards insurances and pensions, whereas the bottom 75% save less than 5%. So bear that in mind. You need to be having something in place for the future. Like we say, we always recommend sort of between 10 and 20% of your monthly salary. You should be looking at a long-term plan so that when you no longer work, or if something happens which unfortunately allows you not to be able to work, you have that safety net there, and yourself and your family are protected. Enjoy your week. I'm back in Ho Chi Minh now for the next couple of weeks, so if anyone wants to come and see me, give me a call, send me an email, drop me a line, literally WhatsApp, whatever. Get in touch. Have a nice week. Bye bye.